somewhere in the middle of America, in a small town whose name you might almost remember, October has turned soft and gray. It is 1942, and evening is settling over Main Street the way a quilt settles over a bed, slowly and gently, tucking in every corner as it goes. The rain began an hour ago. Not a storm, nothing sudden or sharp, just a long, unhurried rain, the kind that autumn brings when there's nowhere else to be. It taps against the windows of the hardware store, the drugstore with its softly glowing soda fountain sign, the little brick post office where the flag hangs heavy and still in the wet air. Every sound in town seems to slow down when a rain like this begins. Even the clock on the bank tower seems to tick more gently tonight, more patiently, as if it too has decided that this is an evening for resting. Street lamps flicker on one by one, gold and hazy through the falling rain, each one wearing its own soft halo of mist. Under one of them, the last shopkeeper on the block is closing up for the night. The click of a lock, the creak of a door, the small bell above it giving one last drowsy jingle before all goes quiet. Somewhere down the block, a car rolls by slowly, headlights catching the silver lines of rain, tires humming low against the wet brick street. A screen door bangs shut. Someone laughs, just once, warmly, and then the street settles back into its soft, steady hush. The elm trees lining the sidewalks have begun to let go of their leaves, and the fallen leaves lying loose, damp heaps along the curb, gold and rust and amber, glistening faintly under each passing lamp. If you were walking home right now, and you could imagine just for tonight that you would smell them, that deep, sweet, earthy smell of wet leaves and wood smoke and far-off rain, the smell that means autumn has truly and finally arrived. You would pull your coat a little closer around you. You would walk slowly, unhurried, because there is nowhere else you need be this evening except home. Every window you pass glows warm and amber. Behind lace curtains, you can see the soft shapes of families settling in for the night, a shadow crossing a lamp, the small flicker of fireplace, the gentle outline of someone in a rocking chair, rocking, slow as the rain itself. Each house looks like its own small lantern, glowing quietly against the gray evening, each one holding some little world of warmth inside it. Past the church with its white steeple standing patient in the drizzle, past the train depot where a single lantern sways gently on its hook, the street grows narrower and the houses grow closer together, until at last you come to a modest white house with dark green shutters and a wide, welcoming porch. A single light glows gold in the front window. Smoke drifts up from the chimney, unhurried, curling into the wet evening sky before it dissolves completely into the gray. This is where we are going tonight. Let your mind rest here, on this porch, in this rain, in this one small, particular pocket of quiet. There is nothing you need to do now but follow along, slowly, softly, as the evening unfolds around you. The porch steps are old wood, painted a soft gray, and they creak underfoot in that familiar, comforting way old porch steps always do. Not a creak of complaint, but the low, easy creak of long use, the sound of a house that has welcomed many tired feet home before yours. At one end of the porch, a swing hangs still, its chains dark with rain, waiting patiently for some sunnier evening still to come. The screen door swings open with its soft, familiar groan, and behind it, the heavier front door, painted white, its brass handle worn smooth by years of hands, opens into warmth. Inside, the air is golden and full of a dozen comforting smells, layered gently one over another. Wood smoke drifting from the small fire in the front room, the faint sweetness of herbs drying somewhere in the kitchen, the low, rich smell of supper simmering slowly on the stove. It is the smell of a house that has been lived in and loved in for a long time. The front hall is narrow and warm, with a coat rack by the door and a small round rug, its colors softened by years of footsteps. A woman's cardigan hangs on one hook, its sleeves gone a little thin at the elbows. A child's rubber boots stand side by side near the baseboard, still damp from the walk home from school, set neatly the way a mother likes to find them. Deeper in the house, a radio hums low, its warm static settling slowly into music, and beneath that steady sound drift other small, homely noises. The soft clink of a spoon against a mixing bowl, the low murmur of voices, the gentle scrape of a chair against a wooden floor. Nobody in this house is hurrying tonight. There's nowhere else to be. Further inside, the front room glows amber in the light of a single lamp with a fringed shade, and beside it, a small fire is settling into embers in the hearth, crackling now and then with a soft, sleepy pop. The wallpaper wears a faded pattern of pale roses. Along one wall sits a well-worn but deeply comfortable sofa, its cushions plump, a hand-knitted afghan folded across its back. Everything in this room has been softened gently by years. Nothing sharp, nothing new, nothing that asks anything of you, only warmth, only rest. Rain taps steadily on the window panes, slow and even, like something breathing quietly in its sleep. And somewhere close by, waiting in the next room, the radio warms further still, filling with the low golden hum of the evening ahead. In the kitchen, the light is soft and yellow, cast down from a single bulb beneath a round glass shade. The wallpaper here shows a cheerful pattern of small blue flowers, faded pale near the stove where years of steam have gently worn its color. On the back burner, a percolator murmurs quietly to itself, filling the room with a low, rich scent of coffee. On the front burner, a pot simmers slowly, a supper of vegetables and a little tender meat, the kind of meal that takes all afternoon to grow this soft, this fragrant. The smell drifts warm through the whole house. Onions gone sweet and golden, carrots pulled from the garden out back, a bay leaf steeping slowly into the broth. Nearby, a fresh loaf of bread rests cooling on its rack, crust dark gold, its warmth still rising faintly into the air. If you close your eyes, you can almost catch it, that soft, yeasty warmth mingling with wood smoke and rain, one gentle smell folding softly into another. At the counter stands Helen, sleeves rolled to the elbow, humming very quietly along with the music drifting in from the front room. Her hands move without hurry, without any real effort at all. The way hands move when a task has been done 1,000 times before and asks nothing more of you than familiar care. She slices the last of the season's tomatoes, small and a little imperfect, grown along the back fence in the garden she has tended all summer. Beside her sits a jar of peaches, put up in late August, glowing amber in the lamplight, small soft rounds of last summer, saved carefully for a gray October evening just like this one. At the kitchen table, 7-year-old June sits with her knees tucked beneath her, cutting careful shapes from the page of an old magazine, her tongue caught gently between her teeth in concentration. Nearby, in the chair by the window, Grandma Ruth peels apples in one long, unbroken curl of red skin, letting each piece drop softly into a bowl of water, readying them for a pie that will bake tomorrow, filling the whole house with cinnamon. Nobody speaks very much. There's no need to. The only voices in the room are low and easy, a comment about the rain, a small laugh over something the dog did earlier in the yard, Grandma Ruth telling, in her soft and unhurried voice, some small remembered story from years and years ago, back when she herself was a girl not much older than June. The story doesn't need to make perfect sense for you to follow along. It only needs her voice, low, warm, rising and falling gently, like the rain outside the window. When supper comes, it is simple and rich. The slow-cooked stew ladled into bowls by hands practiced enough never to spill, warm bread with butter that melts almost the moment it's spread, a small spoonful of preserved peaches for June, who eats hers slowly, savoring each bite like a little kept secret. The kitchen is warm with cooking and breath and quiet talk, and outside, the rain falls on, steady, patient, endless, the kind of rain that seems to say, gently, again and again, there's nowhere else you need be tonight. After supper, once the dishes have been washed and dried and set back neatly in the cupboard, the family drifts, as families so often did on evenings like this one, toward the warm amber glow of the radio. It sits in its polished wooden cabinet like some small, patient altar, its dial glowing faintly gold, the fabric of its speaker worn soft at the edges from years of listening. The announcer's voice, low and unhurried, fades gently into music, and slowly, like a held breath finally let go, the room fills with the sound of big band drifting in from some faraway ballroom, clarinet gliding high and sweet, brush drums keeping slow and steady time, a warm section of trumpets rising in soft, rounded phrases. It might almost be a Glenn Miller number, all gentle clarinet and easy rhythm. The kind of tune that seems to sway the whole room a little, wrapped in that faint, familiar static that made radio music at this particular time feel, somehow, like it was being played just for you. Grandma Ruth settles into her rocking chair near the fire, needles clicking softly as she knits. Slow, even stitches, with the color of ripe wheat. Soon to be a scarf, or perhaps a pair of mittens, ready by the time real winter comes. Her chair creaks gently as she rocks, almost in time with the music, back and forth, back and forth. A rhythm as old and steady as the house itself. June lies on a rug near the hearth, chin propped in her hands, watching the fire settle slowly into soft orange embers, listening to the music without quite listening, the way children often do, simply soaking in the warmth of the room, the low, comfortable murmur of grown-up voices, the quiet sense that everything tonight is exactly as it ought to be. And Helen sits at the small writing desk tucked into the corner of the room, just beneath the window, where the rain traces slow, wandering paths down the glass. A low lamp glows there too, gentler still than the others, falling softly over a clean sheet of paper, a fountain pen resting beside a bottle of blue-black ink, and a short stack of thin envelopes, already addressed in her careful, looping hand. For a while, she only listens. The trombone swell low and warm, then fade again into something quieter, something almost like a lullaby, though it was never written to be one. The whole room seems to breathe along with the music, in and out, slow and warm, gathering everyone gently into its rhythm. Somewhere far off, thunder murmurs once, softly, more like a sigh than any kind of warning, and then the rain simply continues on, steady as ever, tapping its slow rhythm against the glass. This is the hour when the whole house seems to exhale. The chores are done, supper's eaten. There's only this now. The fire, the radio, the rain, and the people you love gathered together in one small warm room, while the gray evening rests quietly outside the window. At last, Helen turns from the music and draws her chair a little closer to the small writing desk. She uncaps her pen slowly, almost carefully, the way one does with a task that matters. For a moment she simply sits, watching the rain trace its unhurried lines down the window pane, gathering her thoughts the way one gathers a shawl a little closer against the evening chill. Then, slowly, she begins to write. The sound of a fountain pen moving across paper is a small sound, easy to miss beneath the murmur of the radio and the crackle of the fire. But if you listen closely, you can hear it, a soft, steady scratching, unhurried and rhythmic, like the rain outside, only quieter, gentler, more private. It is the sound of someone gathering all the ordinary, precious little details of an evening into words, to be carried far away to someone who is missing them. Dear Walter, she writes and pauses a moment, the pen hovering, before the words begin again, slow and warm. She tells him about the rain today, how it started just after 4 and hasn't let up since, how it drummed so pleasantly on the porch roof that she nearly fell asleep in her chair listening to it. She tells him the last of the tomatoes came in from the garden today, small and a little lopsided, but sweet as anything, and that she's put up 3 more jars of peaches, which now sit lying along the cellar shelf like small, round, golden moons. She tells him that June lost her second tooth this week, and hid it so carefully under her pillow that she couldn't find herself again the next morning. And there was a small, gentle commotion in the house before it turned up, quite safe, tucked in the pocket of her nightgown. She tells him his mother sends her love, and that she's knitting something warm, though she won't say what just yet, only that it will be finished by the time the weather turns truly cold. She tells him that the radio played one of his favorite tunes tonight, the one with the trumpet part he always liked to hum along to a little off-key, and that for just a moment, hearing it, it felt almost as if he were there in a room with them. She doesn't write about anything difficult tonight. This letter, like so many of her letters, is made entirely of small, warm things. The ordinary poetry of a life going quietly on, gathered gently and sent across whatever distance lies between them, so that when he reads it, wherever he is, he might close his eyes for just a moment and feel, quite clearly, this very room. The fire, the radio, the rain, the smell of peaches and warm bread, the sound of his daughter's soft laughter drifting in from the rug by the hearth. Grandma Ruth's knitting needles click on, slow and steady. June has grown quiet on the rug, her eyes drifting half-closed now, lulled by the fire's warmth and the low music and the soft, steady scratching of her mother's pen. The rain continues its long, unhurried rhythm against the glass, patient as ever, as though it too has all the time in the world. With all my love, the letter ends at last, and every ordinary, wonderful thing that makes up our days without you until you're home again. She folds the paper slowly, carefully, the way she always does, and slides into one of the thin envelopes, setting it beside the lamp to be sealed and posted in the morning. Then she sits back for a moment, simply breathing, simply listening to the rain, to the radio, to the soft, settling sounds, a house drawing itself gently in for the night. Slowly, gently. The evening folds on itself, the way it always does, the way evenings have always done, long before the night and long after. The fire has burned down to a low, soft glow of embers, breathing faint orange light across the room with each small settle and shift. The radio, its dial still faintly lit, has quieted now to something slower. Some last low melody drifting out before the station, too, turns in for the night. Grandma Ruth's needles have gone still in her lap. Her chair rests unmoving. Her eyes are closed, her breathing slow and even. June was carried up to bed some while ago, tucked beneath a quilt stitch from a dozen soft, faded fabrics, each one holding some small, half-forgotten memory. Her window holds the sound of rain, too, steady and low, a lullaby older than any radio song. And beneath it she sleeps the deep, easy sleep of a child who had been fed and warmed and loved all day long. Downstairs, Helen rises at last from the writing desk and moves quietly through the house, checking the latch on the front door, turning the lamp in the front room down until there's only a small warm ember of light, then no light at all. She pauses by the window for a moment, watching the rain fall silver under the last street lamp, listening to its soft, endless rhythm against the porch roof, the window pane, the whole quiet, sleeping street. Every house on this street, and on every street like it, is settling now into the very same soft darkness, the very same steady rain, the very same slow and peaceful hush. Somewhere, far off, a train sounds once, low and long, and fades again into silence. The elm trees sway gently, letting go of a few more golden leaves into wet dark. The whole town breathes slowly in and slowly out, safe and dry and warm beneath 1,000 small, quiet roofs. And you, wherever you're listening from, can let yourself rest here too, in this quiet room, in this steady rain, in this small warm pocket of 1942 that asks nothing of you now but to close your eyes. The rain will go on falling, softly, evenly, all through the night. It does not need you to listen to it anymore. It only needs you to rest. The fire is low. The house is warm. The letter is written and waiting by the door. And outside, the midnight rain falls on and on and on, gentle as breathing, gentle as sleep.